welcome to the first installment of Ollie and Natasha actually doing a Zoom
God.
together. We are doing pasta because apparently today is National Linguine Day here in the UK, and I was presented with a challenge to do a Zoom making homemade pasta. Now, in the spirit of full disclosure, this is not something I've made before. And of course, being me, I'm not somebody who would have tried it and tested it before. I just decided to do it on a Zoom with some other people watching. So we're recording this. So hopefully those of you that watch back, if I've had the courage to upload it.
It'll be a laugh no matter what.
It'll be a laugh, exactly. And if it goes horribly wrong, Buttons is around the corner. But I don't think it will. It'll be fine. So hi, I'm Natasha. I am the Thermomix Wonder Woman and Flying Foodie. For those of you who are new to watching me, if you're watching this back on a replay. I've been a Thermomix advisor for, oh my goodness, I think it's probably 6 years now. But I've had a Thermomix machine for 10 or 11 years. I've had it for a long time. So this not so young man anymore is my son, Oliver. Oliver has been cooking with the Thermomix since he was little, and started independently cooking with it when he was very little by mistake, because mom and dad were supposed to be home to help him when he had a project at school, didn't you? You were doing mince meat.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
So, but ever since then, you've had the confidence to just get on with it, haven't you? So, exactly, yeah. So move out of that little light. You've got like a, there you go, yeah. The light's above us. In this, also being honest, I am meant to tell you that children shouldn't be using the machine independently because the blades are very sharp. So that's the caveat. Exactly, but it's fine. Irresponsible parents. But it is good enough. And Ollie's now gone off to university, so he is in year 2 at studying
zoology,
which is pretty cool.
Not you've forgotten then.
No, I wasn't. I'm letting you introduce yourself. Because it's not all about me. Yeah, usually it is. So we moved him in last week into his house, and he has a Thermomix with him at uni. So he did take a Thermomix in year 1, and where did it stay?
In my room behind a locked door.
Yeah. So when he was using it, it went into the kitchen. And when he wasn't using it, because he was in a flat with people that he didn't know, he took one of the travel bags that we have and took that down with him, and it was in the bottom of his cupboard. And it was great because you actually cooked all sorts of great food, didn't you, while you were at uni?
Curry, risottos,
yeah,
cocktails as well.
There were no pot noodles for this one. But when you think about it, actually, and you think, yes, the Thermomix itself is an investment, but actually he was eating healthy and he was making things from scratch. And although you probably only use it once or twice a week, he'd batch cook. So he'd make something and then portion them into what I call the ding ding meal. So, you know, those nights where you're in a rush and you need food and it goes straight in the freezer and then you can pop it out and cook it. This year, he's in a house with people he does know, people he's chosen to live with. So it's in their kitchen. He has got the slider board. If you have a look here on mine, it's like a board that it sits on. So that way it can move around the counter without damaging the scales, which are the feet of the machine. So that's really important that you never drag your machine. Always make sure it's a lift and a move, or invest in a slider board. So just because we didn't know, everyone else in the house might not understand the mechanics of keeping it safe, I thought you can have a slider board. And you've already done a come dine with me, haven't you?
It was very good fun.
It was brilliant.
The machine was total lifesaver.
What did you make?
I did. What did I make? Champagne lemon slush was my welcome drink. They fell in love with it. They want me to make it every night now. What else did I do?
You did use it with Prosecco, however.
I did use real Prosecco, not no Secco, because university.
Of course.
What else did I do? I did the Portuguese water bread, pão de água.
Pão de água bread, the Portuguese water bread is amazing.
So easy as well.
Yeah.
And then I did the Parmesan shortbread with the fennel and chili on top. They went down very well. I had to make a second batch for the rest of the house to have some.
Good.
And then
you did the smoked mackerel pate?
Yes.
Because one of the girls was pescatarian.
And then for my main, I did the teriyaki salmon burgers, which also went down very well.
And you did the ginger cabbage slaw with that.
Yeah, I did.
And then dessert, he did one. I don't think you used the machine for that, did you?
No.
No, he did a traditional Canadian butter tart.
Yeah.
And the espresso martinis in the machine, so that was good. Anyway, you guys aren't here to hear us talk about all this. You want to see us make pasta. Can you see I'm stalling? Because I'm like really worried it's going to go horribly wrong. But I trust the machine and I trust the process. And as long as you do what it says, you'll be fine. So that's how we're going to do it today. And
you.
I'm not going to go in, but I've got the machine on. I've programmed what we're making today. I'm just going to open up my week so that you can have a look. And we are going to be making the fresh pasta dough. And I'm doing this bit, Ollie's doing the hard bit and doing the rolling. Apparently he did that about 6 years ago when he was doing F&N at school.
Apparently, it makes me more qualified.
It makes you more qualified. More qualified than me. That's like, I look at that machine and it scares me. Right, so the first thing it wants is 200 grams of plain flour. Now, I have measured most things just because when I do a demonstration, you don't want to see me taking my time and making sure I don't go crazy and fly over it. But your scales will count slightly slower than you put things in. So if I stop, you'll see the scales will count up to catch up. So that's just something to be mindful of when you're, especially when you're pouring liquids and things like that. Machine. There we go, 198 will do. And then I'm going to press next. So it now wants a couple of eggs. It does say your eggs to be between 53 and 63 grams. I've never actually had to measure or weigh an egg, but I did just to be sure. And with the shells on, they were just over the 63. So I thought without the shells, they'll be fine. Now, when I crack an egg, I also don't bang it on the side of the bowl. Again, the scales of your machine are delicate and I don't want to shock them. So anytime where your machine asks you to scrape down the sides, I always remove the machine from, or remove the bowl from the machine, sorry. And then I scrape it down that way because the thing that you have to do after that is you bang. So even cracking an egg, I always crack my egg in on something else. I tend to crack them into a bowl, especially when I do a demo, because if I'm nervous and I get shell in it, then I can pick it out of the bowl. There we go. So your 2 eggs are in. Thank you. 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. So, well, there we go. That is a tablespoon of olive oil. And that's going to go in my sink as well. And then insert the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid. Ta-da! That's done for me. And 2 minutes it's going to need. I'm just going to turn that on. And it's going to need. The machine might bounce around a little bit, which is one of the other reasons why I love the board that it's on. Because the board's got tiny little indentations for the feet of the machine. So when it is, the couple of times I don't leave the machine in the kitchen is when it's kneading, when it's definitely when it's peeling vegetables, because it does move and it will get really close to the edge of the counter. Super smart, but not smart enough to realize it is at the edge of the counter, and it may throw itself off. So then the machine sings at you when it's done. So that was 2 minutes, and I'm going to press next, and it does say the dough will appear crumbly. Now, no pressure as I open it and have a look inside and see if my dough looks. It does not look crumbly, so I don't know. But anyway, we are going to go with trust the process. Pat the dough into a bowl. So one of the ways of getting dough out of your Thermomix bowl, I don't know if you can see that if I turn that, is actually just turning your bowl upside down. And where you've got the little knob on the top, just wiggle that. And I can feel it loosening the dough off the blade. There we go. Then that's loosened it right off. I'll pull the dough out of those bits for a bit. There we go. So I've got the dough out of my bowl. But to pat the dough into a ball and wrap in cling film. So I think Ollie's got some cling film there for me. There we go. Yeah, I grabbed that. She needs some scissors to do that. Cling film's always a nightmare. There. There is my dough wrapped. And allow it to rest for 15 minutes. So while that's resting, I'm going to whip up a very quick pesto. Thermomix has tons, and actually, let me set the timer first. Timer. So on the machine, you can set your timer. For those of you watching back, I go back to where we were. Where the little arrow is, right in the middle, there's a drop down. And if I hit timer, and then I'm going to set that for 15 minutes. There we go, 15 minutes. Start.
Here we go.
And that's going. And then I'll actually show you the next steps because there's some videos on the machine as well. So it says roll out your dough onto a floured surface into thin 2 to 3 millimeter rectangular shapes. Over to Ollie for that. And then either with a rolling pin. So he is going to start with a rolling pin just to kind of get it a bit ready. And then it's going to go through the machine. And I think you do it a couple of times, don't you? And you get thinner each time. Dust the pasta lightly with flour to prevent it from sticking. Cut the pasta in desired shapes according to the type of pasta that you're making. So we have one of these magic things here.
Wonderful gadget comes in.
And I think Ollie's picked what he's doing. I'm not sure because I don't know how to use it. Try and show them and see if you can.
Do you want thick or thin?
It's linguine day, so let's kind of go thin.
Thin.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if it will show on the camera. This has 2 thicknesses. That one's nice and thick, that one's nice and thin. Then all you do, depending on what thickness you want, you put your little thing in, you spin it, and then that'll cut your pasta into the strips for you.
Cool, but how do you pick which one you want?
So
oh, it just depends where you put your pasta. Oh, I see, yeah.
One spins one spins the other.
Okay, so when you put it all together, you'll show us that.
I will, I'll show it once it's all together and going.
Fantastic.
Don't worry, it was just your email that was down to you.
Okay, that's fine. So lasagna or ravioli, cut the dough in sheets, approximately 20 centimeters by 10 centimeters. I'm going to hit play so you guys can see this little video. That comes out if it works. There we go. So that's just showing you how you've rolled it out and then you're literally just cutting it. It's quite cool that it's got videos, isn't it? Yeah.
And especially for pasta making, because
yeah,
quite hard sometimes to work out what exactly it wants just by the text.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're showing you lining it all up so that your sheets are the same size. Yeah, very clever. So that's that one. Then you've got tagliatelle cut into strips. So if we do that one, I think they rolled this one, haven't they? And then they cut it into strips.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Square it off.
Oh, to make it nice and neat.
Yeah.
Clever.
You usually roll it into like a tube.
So this is how you would do it if you haven't got a pasta machine, but we're using a pasta machine today. There you go. Clever. And then there you go. Unroll them all and then
those are quite small little bits.
Yeah.
But you might want a bigger sheet if you want longer pieces.
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't have a pasta machine at home.
There we go. Farfalle cut into small rectangular shapes, 2 centimeters by 5 centimeters, and then pinch the center of each rectangle to form a butterfly. That's cool. Oh, they've got one of those rollers that has, yeah. Yeah, because it gives me that little pattern on it, doesn't it? There we go. I love these videos. Did you guys know there were videos on some of these?
Yes, I did.
No, so there you go. That is perfect. Those are cute. And our ice machine is decided to make ice now.
Of course it has.
I'll take ice machine in the fridge. Yeah. There we go. Are there any more? We just did that one, didn't we? And then you would cook the pasta in a large quantity of salted boiling water with salt for 3 to 4 minutes, depending on the shape and thickness of the pasta. Serve hot with the salt. Now, the other thing I want to show you, whenever you're cooking in a recipe, over here you've got these 3 little dots. If you press them and go recipe detail, some recipes have hints and tips. So this one has got hints and tips. So some of the tips: serve the pasta as a side or a main with tomato sauce, pesto, or your favorite sauce. Roll out small amounts of the dough at a time and cover the remaining dough with a damp tea towel to prevent it from drying out. Now, I didn't know that until I'd read the tips this morning. So I've got a nice damp tea towel ready to go. For best results, after rolling and cutting, allow the pasta to dry for 1 to 2 hours on a floured cloth. Also didn't know that. So I've got a muslin cloth, which I've taken out, and I've put some flour on it. So once we've done it, we're going to lay it out on that for a couple of hours. And then your variations, if you want to make your pasta dough, so you get your green pastas and your red pastas. So for green pasta dough, use the basic recipe, add an extra 100 grams of flour and 70 grams of spinach leaves, either, well, fresh, clean, and dry, or frozen, defrosted with the water squeezed out. Place 300 grams of flour and spinach leaves in the mixing bowl and mix 20 seconds at speed 9. Add your eggs and oil and then knead for 2 minutes. To make red pasta dough, without the eggs. Instead of 2 eggs, use 100 grams of tomato juice and proceed as directed by the recipe. And if you want to increase your quantity, add 1 extra egg per 100 grams of flour. And the maximum quantity at any one time is 500 grams of flour and 5 eggs. And then you just increase your kneading time to 3 minutes. So it does actually make quite a large batch of pasta in one go. And I'm now going to very, very quickly whip up our favorite pesto recipe. There are lots of pesto recipes. There's your basil pesto, there's watercress pesto, all sorts. But this one uses rocket sun-dried tomato. Absolutely. This one is rocket and chili pesto. Marcia, you would probably like this one because I know you're watching, and you can add more chili if you like. I am a wuss, so you know that I don't. And this one calls for hazelnuts, but Derek and I prefer it with walnuts. So we're just subbing walnuts for hazelnuts. So yes, there is an active recipe. Yes, I'm going to start a new one. Maybe a clean bowl would probably be good rather than my one covered in pasta dough. Oh, it would be fun. Don't need that. Thank you. There we go. So place a jug onto the mixing bowl lid. So the first thing that it wants, it's actually going to be using the scales of the machine. So I'm just going to put, I've got a jug on top of that, the measuring jug, one with a spout, because when I come to pouring the oil into it later, it's much easier if it has a spout. And then I'm going to put 100 grams of olive oil, and I'm just weighing that into the measuring cup that I've got on top. There you go. So you can see what I've done. I just put measuring cup on top of that. Put that back so you can see. So I am just pouring my olive oil and keeping an eye on my scales because I need 100 grams. Ollie's getting everything out for me. He's such a good souffle.
I have lots of practice.
Yeah. Well, any minute now, I'll be the sous chef.
Good point.
There we go. With 100 grams of olive oil. And then it just wants me to remove that jug and set it aside. I've made this recipe a lot. Thank you, honey. So I'm just going to put my oil over there until I need it. And then it wants 2 garlic cloves. So I had 1 massive garlic clove. And I didn't want to put 2 of them in because that's going to be too much. So I've just got a big one and a little one. I'm popping those in. And then I'm going to insert the measuring cup. And it's going to chop up my garlic for me. Next 2 seconds, and I'm going to speed 8. Things when it's done. Press next, and then scrape down. So this is where I was saying, thanks, honey. Look at that. It's by magic. I always say I remove it because I don't want to bang it. But there you go. That was 2 seconds of chopping for my garlic. So I'm just pushing it all back down into the bottom of the bowl, but not all up on the side. All of that garlic back down, and then go. My garlic's back down into the bottom, the majority of it. Pop that back on. Next, add some rocket leaves. So it is 120 grams of rocket, which is 2 bags. Should be about 2 bags, because I am making a whole jar of this. Because it actually lasts. If you put it in your in a jar, sterilize your jars, and then if you put it in a jar in the fridge and just top it with a bit of oil, and then every time you use some, again, just top a little bit. That was a little bit. So that's 126 grams of rocket leaves. I'm good with that. Finally, they packaged and we got more than we should.
I don't see that very often.
Yeah, right. So some Parmesan cheese, 80 grams of Parmesan cheese cut into pieces 2 centimeters. So I've got my Parmesan cheese all chopped up. Much cheaper to buy Parmesan cheese in a block than it is to buy it grated already. I buy them typically at Costco, and it can actually sit in the freezer. And then whenever I need it, I take out a big batch and I grind it up, and then it sits in a bowl in the fridge. So I do have ground Parmesan for when I need it. Costco's amazing. There we go. That's good. We do. So here we're, instead of using the hazelnut, I'm going to use walnuts. I prefer them. I haven't actually seen that. Oh, you know what? You can have that last little bit, and then that bowl's finished. Done. There we go. And again, this is where cookie dough, you don't have to be a slave to that recipe. If you have a little bit more, put a little bit more in. If you don't have enough, don't put enough in. When you're baking, you've got to be a bit more careful when you are doing anything with a high temperature sugar. So you do need to be exact, but things like this, you know. So it says one fresh chili, halved lengthways and de-seeded. I am going to go for it. And I'm actually, usually I would just put one in.
Being brave.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to put both. There we go. Derek will be happy.
He will be.
Some salt. Hopefully I'll enjoy eating it tonight. It won't be too hot. Some salt. And then I'm going to pop that lid on with the measuring cup. So let me show you what's inside that bowl. Do it. You guys can see. There you go. So that is nice and full, all fresh ingredients, nothing nasty in there. When you buy stuff like this in the shops, it still has your preservatives and stuff. This does not. 8 seconds. I'm going up to speed 8. I don't know why people would buy pesto and it's that easy to do that. Yeah. Right down the side. Amazing. So obviously it's not done yet, but that just shows you how powerful those blades are. So I am just, again, I'm pushing it all down from the side, back into the bottom of the bowl. Yeah. So that's all I've done there. I've just pushed it all down. And then on the lid, it will tell you to do this, but I don't want to waste all that. There is stuff on it. So I'm just using that spatula and getting all of that off the lid and putting that in. There we go. Done. Next, gonna do that again. Oh, I forgot in the way. They probably got in the way then, didn't it? Right, input measuring cup, and then 5 seconds up to speed 8. It's just gonna try again. Great already, didn't it? Yeah.
No.
Right, still with the measuring cup in place. I'm leaving this measuring cup there. And for 2 minutes, I'm going to turn the speed selector to 4. And then it says, meanwhile, follow the next step. So I want to see what the next step is. Slowly pour your reserved oil onto the mixing bowl lid, letting it drizzle in a thin stream onto the rotating blades. So there is, put that up there so you can see it. Underneath this lid, there are little gaps. So as I'm going to pour the oil onto here, the oil will drizzle down onto the, there you go. So I'm just going to pour that straight on there. That's all right. You don't have to do that for 2 minutes. People get the idea. Pop it down again. And I'm just doing that in a nice, slow, steady stream. And I'm going to let that go. Ollie, can you just press the next button for me so that I can see the timer? And just so I know what I've got. Now I can see that I've got a bunch that all sat on there. So I'm just wiggling that lid around. And I'm just keeping an eye on the time. And as that goes in, so when you're making mayonnaise, this is the same process when you're making mayonnaise. And it's the slow drizzle of the oil hitting the rotating blades that creates that emulsification. And mayonnaise is really, really easy to make. Again, that takes about 5 minutes. So a lot of the times when I'm making something that needs mayonnaise, I just make up the mayonnaise bit. And if you guys are watching this on a replay, then you can always send me an email or reach me on all of my social media channels. So I'm Flying Through the UK, FLYING. That's the timer done for the pasta. Perfect. I'm just going to confirm that and turn that off. And that's got 16 seconds left for the little bits that are on there now. Drop in. There we go. Couple of seconds. Yeah, so I'm Flying Foodie, FLYING FOODIEUK on most of my social media channels. I've got a Facebook group, which is Natasha Armstrong, Thermomix Wonder Woman, or Thermomix Wonder Woman, Natasha Armstrong. Never sure which way it is. And my email is natasha@flyingfoodie.co.uk. I have a website. You can contact me through that, which is www.flyingfoodie.co.uk. I had to think about that, didn't I? So there's lots of ways that you can reach me. So if you've got questions, let me know. If you're interested in a Thermomix, I can do demonstrations in person. I can do them online. And I like to look after my customers and make sure everybody knows how to use it. I don't just walk away once you've got it. I'm there if you want me to be there. So transfer your pesto to a glass jar. I'm going to show you the pesto because the pesto's done. And then the next thing we're going to do is roll. Oh, I love that you're loving all the tips. Thanks, guys. It's always nice when I do this when there are actually people watching and there's a little bit of feedback, because otherwise you just feel like you're talking to yourself. I mean, at least this time I'm talking to you, but when I do them by myself, it does feel like I talk a lot.
You do anyway, so.
Oh, thanks. So I'm not going to put this in a jar right now. Oh, actually, maybe I will. I had a jar out this morning. Where did I put it? Here we go. I've got one here. And I'm going to show you a tip pouring things into jars with the Thermomix. So if you take I'm going to take a different lid because that lid's got oil on one side and pesto on the other. So I've got my lid and I've got my jar. And if you stand your lid, do it that way. You might need to move the camera so that you guys can see it. There you go. So you see what I've done with the lid over the jar? And then you can just pour in. I've got my back properly to the camera that way, so I'll do it this way. And then it just makes it easier, and if you make a mess, it goes onto the lid rather than all over your counter. So there you go, pesto. Ta-da!
Go using the spatula to make sure.
Yeah. And that is actually probably the perfect size jar.
It's well judged.
Yeah, a little bit left. Let me see if I can get that out. This is the boring bit for everyone watching. There we go. Done. That. You just got a paper towel here just because I did get a little bit. There you go, on that bit that I just want to dry before I put that lid on. And if I wasn't using this, because I am going to use this a bit later on today, I would just put a bit of oil on the top, but actually this doesn't need it right now. Once I've used some, I can put oil on the top to keep it. And then you can get some nice little labels. Actually, oh God, please don't be too chilly because that's going to be really funny. Oh my God. That's so good. Actually, that is really good. It's not, I don't taste, I mean, Marcia, you'd probably want more chili. Definitely. Dad would want more chili.
Always more chili. How long?
Always more chili.
How long can you keep it in the fridge for, Tash?
So as long as you cover, I don't know if anybody can hear on a recording when I'm asked a question. Oh, I've got the wrong lid on. Wrong lid. I need to find the other lid. I don't know if you guys, when you're watching this back, because I never watch them back, I'm too chicken to watch myself back. Marcia's just asked me a question about how long it keeps. So as long as you keep it covered with a bit of oil, then it'll keep for a long time in your fridge. Like mine's usually in the fridge for a good month or so, at least. Whether it's supposed to be or not. I'm not somebody who does expiry dates. I do a sniff check and a taste check. But as long as you have the top covered with just a little bit of oil, it's the same when you're doing, like I've got my tikka pastes and my tandoori pastes in the fridge. Just keep them covered with a little bit of oil, and then they last in the fridge for quite a long time. When you're doing stock pastes and things like that, it's the salt that's the preserving agent. So those ones are fine. So I hope that answered that. Right, over to Ollie now, and he's going to do his pasta thing. Attempt to do the pasta thing.
Not that it's far too high.
Yeah, hang on. So it does here says, drizzle a thin layer of oil on top of the pesto before securing the lid and storing in the fridge. And then label, you can label it. There you go, nice jars, nice little string, and then they're also nice gifts. So we're going to go back into my week, and we're going to reopen the pasta recipe. And instead of hitting start cooking, if you scroll down this way, we are going to start at number 2. So you can actually see what the step is. So instead of having to keep clicking next,
Even I'm learning these things now.
there you go.
I didn't actually.
There we go. My work here is done today. I've taught you something. Right, you start doing the rolling, and I might move cameras around so that you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay.
We're going to unwrap the dough. Yeah. Plain flour. Sprinkle that out with a bit to the surface. 20.
This is where she said there's going to be flour all over the place when I do this, right? There literally is flour all over my kitchen. I've got my muslin cloth covered in flour, that covered in flour, but of course it doesn't just go on the things that you want it to go on. It is everywhere.
Flour the rolling pin lightly. Go, we're ready to go.
So you don't have to make this too thin to start, do you?
No, you just want it kind of,
To be able to go into the machine.
yeah. And what you can also do, if you don't want to do it all in one batch, you roll it out, cut it in half, cut it in quarters, and then you only put how much you want right now through the machine.
Right.
You can save,
And that's
the
where
rest
it then
and do
said
again
wrap it again or put the damp tea towel on it so it doesn't dry out while you're rolling the other bits.
Yeah,
Got you.
exactly. The one thing you don't want is it drying out because then it will crack if it goes through the machine.
You have so much more patience than me. That would have already irritated me rolling that. I'd be like, oh, come on.
See why you love the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm much more like Dad. I love how the machine can help me with other things.
Yeah, you're right. His dad uses it independently and he's very good. And actually one of the ladies watching, she's not had her Thermomix for very long actually. And she's already taken one of her own recipes that she makes and has done it in the Thermomix. So I was just talking to her this morning about how once you've nailed that recipe, you can also then save it and program it into your machine under created recipes so that however you've done it in the past, it saves so you can then just follow the steps, or so that somebody else in the household, Steve, if you're watching, can then make that recipe. I'm going to get in trouble for that one. I know my phone's going to like ping in a minute.
Another little tip when it comes to rolling pasta dough, you always want to roll away from you. Otherwise, if you roll back, if the dough were to stick and flip over, you might end up with it on the floor. You always roll away from you and you keep turning it, just turn it through 90 degrees.
So you're not flipping it, you're just turning it.
Just turning it.
I always thought you had to flip it.
It's nice and floured from the surface. The
Okay.
rolling pin is floured.
Okay.
So the bottom isn't sticking, the top isn't sticking. There's no need to go flipping it. And then if you just keep turning it 90 degrees, you keep it in a rough rectangular shape.
That looks a little bit round.
I know the edges are a bit round, but once you trim it down. And actually, I've got to say, this dough is really good. It's not.
Is it? Oh, thank goodness. It didn't look like it did on the machine, did it? In that picture.
Well, I think the machine needed it that little bit extra that it actually put the crumbly dough together.
You are rolling it rectangle. Go through the machine. Would you like a knife? Would you like a pizza cutter or would you like a knife?
No, regular.
Like not a sharp knife, just like a normal kitchen.
A sharp knife would be better.
Okay. Let me get you one of. You didn't tell me you needed that before. Want to do the right one. There we go. Found it. She disappears. That one. There for you. A little bit more right. So is that not like thin enough now?
You were saying it was round, so if you keep going a little bit, then it's like forming the rectangular shape.
Okay.
Yeah, now. Roll out.
Okay.
Yep, that's 2 to 3 mil thick. Then either with a rolling pin or pasta machine.
So it says dust the pasta lightly so it doesn't stick. Yeah, because you guys can't see what the machine. Right, dust the pasta lightly. Flour sticking. Oh, I see what you're doing. So you're shaping it into sheets.
Yes, and then what you do when you have all the leftovers,
make it
all back together into another ball and then roll it out again.
Okay.
That way you don't waste any of your extra dough.
Got you. He is so much more precise than I am. I'm so glad he's here doing that. There we go. Okay, that looks good.
There we
Not
go.
gonna lie. So now that we can look at the machine and know that that's still a bit too, is that too wide? Yeah, so you would cut that in half.
So what I'm going to do, if you look, here's the magic pasta machine. You can see the thickness, and the best way to look at it
Yeah,
is you can look at that and go, that won't fit in there.
Yeah.
But all you then need to do,
let's just cut that in half.
take your knife and just go straight down the middle,
Okay.
cut it in half.
Move these out of the way for you. Oh, I dropped a tiny bit. We won't use that bit.
There we go. There are two.
So do you need to put a damp towel on top of the other one or at a time? There we go.
Do not need the word intent. And there we go. We're just popping that damp cloth on there. Stop the pasta drying out while we roll the other one. So now we move over to the pasta machine. Now I don't know.
You do the pasta machine and I'll move the camera around. Don't worry.
No, I'm showing it to the camera.
Oh, okay.
So if you can see, there's a little dial here. The camera may not pick it up, but on the outside there are numbers, and there's little holes on the inside, which are the thickness. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off at 9, which is the widest mode. If you can see in the gap, it's got a really,
it's good.
really big gap. Now, where is the little crank? There it is. Now we're going to take.
Sorry, I'm moving the camera so that it can see you. Carry on.
So we're going to take our little arm. That goes in. There's 2 little grooves, so it locks itself in place. Then as you turn that, you'll see the thing. The 2 rollers in the middle are rolling downwards. That will help feed the pasta.
There you go, roll it
through
again.
the machine. You can see those are spinning
Yep.
downwards.
Cool.
We're going to start off and take our first piece of pasta, hold it just above, feed it through.
So
Of
there
course,
is a way of locking it onto the counter, but our counter doesn't work.
No.
So we're
Our
kind of
doors are
having to
bigger.
wing it. So is that going to work being not in the middle?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to hold the bottom bit as it comes out? There you go. Yeah, because it's there you go.
So it doesn't matter if it gets a little bit folded,
Okay.
you'll unfold it properly.
You guys see that? I'm just checking. Oh yeah, you can. It works.
There we go.
So once you've done that,
Do it a few times on each
so
one.
would you cut it in half again, or you keep it
No,
long?
You keep it the long ways because it depends how long you want your piece of pasta to be.
Oh, I
So if
see.
you were to cut that in half again, it will get a bit longer as it gets thinner.
Yeah.
But it just depends how long you want your pieces of linguine to be, or tagliatelle, or whatever
Yeah.
pasta you're making.
All right. We'll roll it one more time and then maybe just to make it easier. So now do you have to make it thinner, or you roll it at the seam?
Roll it the same one, normally 2 times as good, just to make sure it's nice and uniform,
Right.
all rolled to the same thickness. So you can see how much longer that's
Yeah.
got on the first piece,
Yeah.
just by thinning it.
So I would cut that in half just because it makes it easier doing the demo. So now you're making it what number?
So it wasn't 9. I'm going to jump down to 9. Hey, I'm going to jump to 7.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Then we take the pasta, cut it in half, and there we go. So what I've done there is I've just lightly floured both sides of the dough, just to make sure it's not going to stick as it goes through the roller. Roll it through again.
That is really good.
Mm.
And we do love our pasta. So I've got some options for how we're going to make this pasta. I've obviously got the pesto that I've made, so I might whip up a little bit of that for lunch with the pesto. And then I think I'm going to try tonight, because I think there's going to be a lot. Ollie heads back down to uni, and my husband's on standby with work. So I've got some lobster meat here, which is a little bit expensive, but I spend a lot of time in the summer and got some lobster meat home this year. And when I'm down in Plymouth, there's an amazing restaurant down there that does my favorite pasta dish, and it is like a big linguine. It's a big thick pasta. and they do it with salmon, and there's lots of oil and avocado and some cream and loads of pepper. And I love it. It's literally where I go every time that we go down to Plymouth. And so I thought I might do a variation of that and actually use up some lobster meat that I brought back. I've got some lobster, I've got some cream. Derek's finding me a nice avocado, and I might try that. And that one I will just do in the pan. There are still times where I do things to take them away. And I'll just take a big pan, pop some oil in it, pop the lobster in it. And then I'll put some cream and some salt and pepper. I might put some oregano or something like that in it. I'll see what herbs I can grab hold of. And throw in some avocado. And I don't know if they use oil or butter. I think there's maybe more butter than oil, actually, just to make it worse for you. But I'm going to play around with that, and I might try that for some of the pasta for dinner tonight. So we'll see. Watch this space. But yes, I am. I've got my lobster meat out. Yeah, definitely feel quite lucky to have that. But yeah, so we're getting there with this, I promise. What number are you on now?
Down.
Okay, and so do you have to get down, or no? Because you can pick how thick or thin you want it.
So I think that
I would think another one.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay,
think
we'll
two.
go down 2 instead of 1.
And then we'll do that with the rest of it as well once we're done, and I'll get some pictures and I'll put them on my in my Facebook group. It is easier when it locks down onto the counter, doesn't it?
It is much.
Yeah.
You get that first bit, you can
Yeah.
hang it over.
I'll grab it from the other side for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to help, but I'm in the way.
Not my way, I appreciate your help.
It would definitely be easier if this would stay still.
Yeah.
There we go.
Down quite a bit.
Yeah.
To the counter.
No, we don't have enough of a hang, do we? I think it would have been easier if I grabbed that for you.
Your whispering voice isn't very good.
Never was. That looks really good. That's nice and thin. I might have been right.
If
It
you're
might
worried
be too
about
thin.
if it's not picking up off the counter very well and you don't want to break it, just take your knife, just gently slide it underneath and lift. And there you go. If you're struggling to pick it up and you don't want to, clumsy hands. And there we go.
And that's a nice length.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can
Okay, so now how do you, that started out as that.
7.
Yeah.
We went down to 2, so you can see how much pasta you actually get from one portion.
Yeah. And we've still got another whole half of that underneath the tea towel.
Well, I think what we'll do now.
And now you need to add the magic attachment, which I don't know how to use.
So a little attachment. You can see on the camera these two. There's little hook, and this also has little hooks on the end. So all you do, you line them up, and then it just slides into place. There we go. That's on. Hooks are in. Then you take your crank arm.
Oh, and then you pick which one you want. I see.
So
Yeah.
let's spin it around so the camera can see. There's 1.
Yeah.
1 and 2.
Right.
So 1 is thick, 1 is thin. We were doing thin, you said, didn't you?
So I don't know. What do you think?
I think we do thin.
I think we do thin.
Linguine is not too thick of a pasta. It's not tagliatelle. So there we go. We pop the arm in the thin hole. You can see the arm there is lined up with the thin hole. Spin the machine back round.
Do you need me to hold it?
We should go right now. You always want the arm over the counter, that way it can actually spin freely.
Want me to hold the machine?
I think we're all good. Let's see how this first little bit goes. And you pick it up, just being careful. And all you're going to do.
I'm actually just going to watch it on the screen. It's easier.
What's the base down?
That.
Just to stop it tipping.
Yeah. Oh, my hand's going to be in the way. There we go. Should be easier if it would attach to the counter form. Is it actually cutting or just again?
A little bit.
Maybe it's too thin.
Sharp.
Maybe we did it too thin.
No, it's fine because all you look.
Oh,
you
yeah.
won't cut it completely. You then just pull it apart.
Okay.
Once it's through. Pardon?
We did it too soon.
No, we didn't. We're all good.
And I should look at him, right? He's smarter than me.
Not always, but that doesn't feel much.
So we can't put that through again, can we?
No. Once it's through, it's through. Otherwise, you won't
Alright.
get a groove lined up again.
Yeah, it didn't cut properly.
So now, once that's through, all you do is that it's all ready. You literally just need to take your pieces. You can see it's already got those little breaks.
Right, and just peel
You
them.
pick one,
And just peel it.
and you just peel it, and there you go. That comes apart. There's two
Pass me
strands
some, and I'm
there,
going to put it on here for you.
four actually there. So then you just peel it apart. We've got
I'm
nice
so
long,
not gentle.
nice long pieces there.
Oh yeah, I see it is. It's just peeling.
Yeah, you've just got to be gentle with it.
There we go. And I'm just going to lay that across on my floured muslin in order for that to dry for an hour or so. So that's it. I think if we had done it a little bit thicker, then I think that would have cut better. So I think he was right to have stopped at 3, rather than me telling him to. So my bad for
You
that.
told me.
I know I did. It was totally my bad. But that actually, you know, it's worked. Like I say, we are just picking them apart now, and then
Another little
we'll dry
thing.
them.
You can either have it as one, which leaves it almost shoelace thin,
Or leave them as
or
2.
leave them as two if you want them a little bit quicker,
Yeah.
because this will cook very quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's so thin.
So thin. I like the 2.
So if you leave it as 2, you have a little bit of extra thickness.
Yeah.
So you can see the comparison on camera. That's 2, and that's 1. You can see
Yeah.
the thickness difference between
But that was actually not difficult. It was certainly easier than I thought it would be. So yeah, there you go. Pasta, homemade. We are going to dry it out on our little thing now, and Ollie's going to then carry on getting the rest of it rolled out, and then I can have that drying, and I will take some pics and show you all later. I think I'm going to have the courage to figure out how, well, not that I know how to upload it, but I'll try and figure that out. And at some point we'll add this to a YouTube channel thing that I have, he says, because I'm so not technical. But for those of you that have been watching live with us, thank you. If you've got any questions, pop them in. For anybody watching this back on replay, reach out if you've got questions for us, if I can help you at all with, you know, a Thermomix or your own Thermomix if you've already got one. And I hope you found that useful and a bit of fun. I actually enjoyed doing this with you. So thank you. Thanks, guys. I'm going to stop recording now, and then I'll chat with the ones who are in the room if I can figure out how to stop recording. There we go. Thanks, guys.